Hi, this is Alken, and welcome back to my channel. I'm in Michelle's room, or formerly known as Michelle's room, my wife who passed away over a year ago. This would have been our 34th wedding anniversary. I spent it on Ashbury Park and held hostage a little bit by New Jersey Transit when they decided not to run local service on the 739. Yes, you should think about that the next time you want to do stupid stuff and raise the fare. Anyway, the story is not about New Jersey Transit; it's about Joe Biden, and the chain of events that just happened today. I mean, earlier, before he decided to pull out of the race, there was two stories that came close enough to probably tip the scale and kick Biden off the campaign trail. First was the Detroit Press had a joint poll by two different organizations. The Detroit Press is a Democrat newspaper. They concluded that Donald Trump lead is gone to 7 points up over Joe Biden. This is a critical state that Joe Biden needed to keep himself up afloat in the presidential race. But as you know, this since the attempted assassination on Donald J. Trump, Biden numbers continue to sink and sink and sink, and he's sinking faster than the Titanic. And my apologies for the people on the Titanic, because they shouldn't be compared to now a failed president, Biden. But yes, it was sinking. And the pressure was mounting about him dropping out, and then just before his announcement of resignation, another Democrat independent Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia also added his voice to Biden to drop out of the race. And apparently this became a little bit too much, because several hours later, the announcement hit like a bomb, and more like the Gap Band versions of the song than an actual bomb. But it was enough to send shockwaves. Yes, maybe some Democrats were rejoicing that Joe Biden had decided to lead the race, but he did not announce right away that he was throwing his support to his Vice President Kamala Harris, which later on he did. He put that in a letter too, when he forgot to put, or delivery, not to put in Kamala Harris in there. Some people are upset that I called her Karma Harris. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? Karma is a you know what. Because unfortunately, what's happening right now is similar to what happened in 1968, and they're both having conventions in Chicago. And what had happened in 68, you had a president that decided not to run for another term, but he gave the Democrats a chance to do a primary. And that's how they chose Robert F. Kennedy as their candidate to run on the Democratic Party. But unfortunately, not long after he won the Democratic nomination in California, in Los Angeles, he was assassinated. So now they had to use Lyndon Johnson's vice president, Hubert H. Humphrey, to run as president. Ironically, the same thing that Joe Biden is now doing with Kamala Harris. And that did not end it well in the end, because they had problems in the convention. They had huge riots. It destroyed the career of the mayor of Chicago, Richard Daley Sr. Yes, there is a junior who became mayor later on. He's well known for destroying an airport and got away with it. But that's besides the point. That's another story for another time. But the thing is, sure enough, Richard Nixon was able to win the presidency later in November. So this is a dilemma that they're having. Kamala Harris is, of course, the vice president. She's very good with word salad. Not very good when it comes to the border crisis. And that might be hindering her later on in the campaign as she takes over for Joe Biden. And of course, they will be able to use the campaign chest fund that they raised when Biden was the candidate. Now it's Kamala Harris supposed to be the candidate. And plus, a lot of people wanted Joe Biden to be gone anyway. So they're getting their wish, but I don't know what the rules and procedures are for the Democratic Party. But I'm seeing that a lot of people wanted Joe Biden replaced anyway. I'm sure they'll be able to do the necessary changes needed to get her going. And she's shopping for vice president as we speak. That's another news story. She is talking to Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. I don't know who else she's talking to. But then on top of all this, we have another situation. Senator John Manchin of West Virginia, who originally probably pushed Joe Biden out of the race, with his news item earlier, has told ABC News, and I haven't really confirmed this, but he said to ABC News that he's reconsidering reapplying as a Democrat again so he can run against Kamala Harris for the nomination for president. Yeah, throwing a wrench into the works. You notice I didn't mention a specific animal that goes with that phrase because you know how people are. It's very sensitive. Anyway, this is ridiculous. If Manchin does succeed and get back into the Democrat Party, I don't know if he's going to be able to run against Kamala Harris. Because remember, they were looking for candidates earlier, and they couldn't find anybody, so they decided to put Kamala Harris. Now, by him doing this, if it's true, adds another problem to the situation. Also, it doesn't look good for Kamala Harris because she's very famous for word salad. She did a lousy job as the board solder, whatever the heck it is. Her title was, the immigration was getting bad. Yes, he did. Joe Biden resigned as a candidate, but he didn't resign as president. So she doesn't become the first female president by default. So this is a major problem between now and August that has to be settled. Because if Manchin's allowed to come back in and run against her, it's going to make things a whole lot spicier for the Democratic Party. And believe me, this is the kind of spice you don't want to put in food. It won't work. It'll be a huge flop. Like Frank's Place. Well, CBS said that the show was a flop, but I think it's because they didn't give it a chance. But then again, they did the same thing to Gilligan Island. Oh, I think it's a flop. We'll put Gunsmoke back in. So what am I saying about Gilligan's Island and Gunsmoke? The public wants Gilligan's Island, but they get Gunsmoke. This is now the same thing. They voted for Joe Biden on the premises they believed that the guy was in good shape. He can beat Trump. Everything was fine. Everything was great. Everything was gravy. And then all of a sudden, he does that debate and what happened? I thought he was as sharp as a tack. I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Multi-spike bread is more like it. That debate destroyed Biden. And ever since, people were continuing round and around the clock asking him to lead the race. But the thing was, you should have asked him to lead the race years ago. So that way you would have had a proper primary, just like they did with Lyndon Johnson, and had a good candidate ready to go against Trump. But instead, you act like Jim Shady and pull one of these things. I don't know what it is they pulled out, but they pulled it. And now, whoops. It's like, somebody's going around with one of the private parts that's sticking out of the clothing, and they don't say anything. Oh, everything's fine, everything's great, when it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not great. The thought of that would really, really irritate the crap out of me. Because the fact is, how long had you known that Joe Biden was in this state, and when did you know it, and decided not to do anything about it? And you waited until now, around the time of the debate, and said, surprise! Yeah, surprise. My ass. You screwed everybody over for no good reason. And now it's your race to lose, because I don't know how well Kamala Harris is going to be able to deal with Trump, especially now his poll numbers are in the 60s and she's lower than Biden. Maybe she'll get a little raise, maybe not. Maybe she'll get a huge raise like the workers in California did, only to be sent packing to the unemployment line. Yeah, Gary Newsom, that was for you, jerk off. And that's why I'm not going to Panera Bread anymore. Every time I see Panera Bread, I think of all those poor employees that got $20 raises 1 minute and a pink slip the next minute. I just can't eat there. I can't do it. And nothing personal, Panera Bread, but since you're the guys who wrote that thing in there saying, oh, if you bake bread on the premises, you won't have to pay the $20. Or did you do that on purpose to eliminate competition? Just saying. If you sue me, I'll be happy to take all that information and put it in front of the judge, and the judge is going to tell you, you know what? He's right and you're wrong. You put that legislation in, you caused all this chaos in California, and he's right. So don't even think about it, because you will lose. Not to mention you decided to raise your rates to $20 anyway. Right? Yes, Gary Newsom, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and all the Democrats have been screwing us over for the last 3 or 4 years. And now this is what happens when you do stuff like this and it comes out in the open, and then you don't do it in a timely fashion, that all of a sudden now they got to scramble to find somebody to replace Joe Biden, and they can't because you got rid of the primary. And, nobody was able to run against Joe Biden. Of course, you screw Bernie Sanders so many times, it's not even funny. They ran out of KY jelly to just keep screwing him. Because they can afford it. Remember, KY jelly is made with oil, and these people want to ban oil, fossil fuels. With the with the Green New Deal, if they don't use that much oil anymore, they can't make KY jelly. They can't make any products based with petroleum, can they? Including plastics. Yes, you know where I'm going with this. It's just, they just screwed you over and it's not even funny anymore. You know, you think my jokes are bad, they're worse. Nancy Pelosi is worse, and all these other clowns. Yes, I'm referring to a governor in New York calling people clowns. Now she's the clown. And she doesn't know what to do with herself. You notice they rarely mention her name. So, in conclusion, Joe Biden decides to lead the race, but he should have left much earlier when they should have been able to do a proper primary and got another decent candidate in time for the convention in August. And you know they were doing a lot of mistakes. They didn't even had him register in 2 states. And by the way, even now if Kamala Harris or John Manchin becomes the candidate, the odds are already against him because there's 3 states that are not going to change the name of Joe Biden to whoever is taking his place. Because unless he had passed away, that's the only way they're going to do it. They're going to leave it as it is. So she lost Wisconsin, Nevada, and I think Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. But it's 2 of the states that they need the most, and it's automatically going to default to Trump. I don't know what to tell you, but it looks like you're screwed right now. So this is Outcast saying so long for now, and don't forget to stop. And I apologize for this video being so long, but it was a long news day, shocking news day. The only good thing out of this day I got was watching the movie Twister. By the way, it's a good movie, and go watch it. It's not woke.